going on YouTube? JPS here, and you're back with my video log. And today I'm going to be talking about how you can become the best. And when I say the best, I'm talking about the best version of yourself in the context of bodybuilding and physique development. Now, the first thing you need to do if you want to become the best is stop comparing yourself to others. Although we can look to other individuals, their physiques for motivation, inspiration, and get an idea of the standard that we expect of ourselves and what we want to achieve, comparison is more times than not the downfall for many people. So you need to focus solely on yourself and doing the best you can in a number of areas that are going to see improvements in your physique. And we're going to talk about that today. Bodybuilding and physique development is a subjective sport. That is, it's up to somebody's opinion in terms of whether or not they think that you have the best physique or somebody else has the best physique. It's their opinion. There's very few objective markers that we can use to determine who's got a better physique. So therefore, we need to pay attention to ourselves and only to what we're doing and make sure that we're controlling the things that we can control to see progress and improvement, because there's a lot of things outside of our control in the sport of bodybuilding. I can't control my competitors, the competition, what they're doing, how big they are, who their parents were, and what their genetics are in comparison to mine. I can only do the best with what I've got. So the 4 key areas that I see to be crucial to becoming the best version of yourself are consistency. If you are inconsistent, you will be mediocre. To be the best version of yourself, you need to be consistent over time. You need to make sure that you're ticking boxes, like I've mentioned in previous videos, and doing the things necessary to make sure that you're progressing as part of following your plan. You need to follow your plan consistently, and you need to do everything consistently so that you can collect data on yourself and make assessments and adjustments to progress. The second thing is effort. You need to apply as much effort as possible. You need to ask yourself the question, am I doing my best? And if the answer is no, and you could be doing more, you're not putting in enough effort. That doesn't mean you need to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfect in the physique world. There's only effort, and the application of effort over time is what will get you results and help you develop the physique that you want. The third thing is self-awareness. Now, this is a skill that I see to be critical in reaching your potential. If you are not aware of your traits, the tendencies you have, and the things that you do on a daily basis that could be affecting your progress both positively and negatively, then that is an issue. You need to have checks and balances in place to assess what you're doing and what you're thinking and how you're approaching everything within your training, diet, and lifestyle. And the fourth thing is then measuring these variables. What gets measured gets managed. And if you want to be the best, you need to be measuring everything that you do. And as I mentioned, collecting data on yourself that you can assess your response to training and diet, and then make an assessment as to whether or not you are progressing. And if not, making an adjustment to ensure that you are progressing, because remember, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. So if you want to be the best, you need to be assessing, adjusting, and ensuring that you're improving. So I'm going to talk to you about the 3 areas that I measure and assess on a daily and weekly basis so that I can become the best version of myself and get the best outcome when I get on the bodybuilding stage in 2018. So the obvious one is training. And as you guys would know, Ian McCarthy, my good friend from the US of A, has programmed for me. So my job is to execute the program. Now, the things that I'm measuring in my training are the loads, the sets, the reps, the RPE, my energy levels during training, my motivation to train, and my overall performance, which is measured by increasing my volume over time and improving my ability to tolerate that volume. That's how muscle grows, which is my goal at the moment. And the way that I do this is quite simple. I pull a spreadsheet, which has my program, into an app called Numbers. In this app, it allows me to edit the Excel document and write down everything that goes on within my training session. So I keep a log of every single session, not only the reps, sets and weights I do, but how hard those sets feel, my motivation to train on that day, how many hours sleep I got the night before, like my meals prior, after, and I take notes during the session as to how things are feeling. Again, if I want to be the best, I need to measure as much as possible so I can collect as much data as possible so that if things don't go to plan, I can look back and assess these things and make adjustments accordingly. Another way that I measure my training is through video assessment. So I video my technique on a number of key exercises to ensure that I'm doing them properly and to see if there's any technical errors within my movement patterns that can be addressed, especially as volume increases and load is increasing over time. Sometimes technique can break down under different loads, different circumstances, and it's important to collect data on this. And video feedback is a great tool to give you more information that can help you assess whether or not things are moving as they should be. And again, more importantly, we need to look at things not necessarily on a day-to-day basis, but over time, especially when it comes to muscle building, because hypertrophy is very slow. So when I'm measuring my training progress, I'm looking at improvements over time. And I can use my squat as an example. I started 9 weeks ago with 160 kilos for 3 sets of 6. I've now worked up to 3 sets of 8 with 175 kilos. That for me is an all-time PR at that load with the high bar squat. So I'm definitely seeing improvements in my performance in the gym here. Whilst this may not directly correlate to increases in muscle mass because there's so many other factors, it's a good sign that I'm putting as much effort and consistency over time to do what I can and control what I can to put the chips in my favor to make sure I build as much muscle as possible. When it comes to nutrition, it's very important to measure and assess how you're responding to the diet and how your diet is affecting your performance in the gym and whether or not you're gaining too much body fat, losing weight, or seeing no change at all. So I track my calories in the MyFitnessPal app every day. I weigh and measure probably about 80 to 90% of my food at the moment, and I'm looking at those key variables like I've mentioned, which are calories and protein, and ensuring that I'm hitting those. If at any point my recovery starts to be hindered and progress is slowing down in the gym, I can look to my nutrition, and it may be a case of watching my carb intake a little more closely, watching my fat intake a little bit more closely, and tightening up the variables within my diet. And when we talk about nutrition, obviously training is the stimulus for muscle growth, and nutrition will dictate our body composition a lot more than what our training will in the short term anyway. So I also take daily weigh-ins and average these out across the week to assess whether or not my scale weight is increasing. Now, as I'm pretty advanced in my training career, I can't expect really large increases in muscle growth at the moment. It's going to be very slow, like watching grass grow. So I need to be very realistic in my expectations as to how much weight I can gain and conservative in that sense. So on the scales, I'm looking for around a 200 to 500 gram increase each week, which will equate to around 1 kilo a month. So far, 9 weeks in, I'm up from 83 kilos to 86 kilos. So as you can see, there was probably a little bit excessive weight gain at the start, which I would contribute to water retention, and things have slowed down since then. So I'm within the ballpark that I've been aiming for. And I know this because I'm measuring it, I'm assessing it, and if I was starting to get too fat and gaining too much weight too quickly, I can look to my diet, see what I've been eating, and adjust it accordingly. And this is what will help me become the best. If I gain too much fat now because I'm not measuring anything and then I have to cut for excessive periods of time and lose lean muscle mass, I'm not going to achieve the best outcome. So whilst knowledge is important, it's just as important to be assessing how you're implementing that knowledge on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. And a big one that many people overlook when assessing and measuring their progress, response to training and diet is lifestyle. So I also keep tabs, not necessarily in an app or on my phone or in any notebook or anything like that, but on my lifestyle and the things that are going to affect my diet and my training and my progress overall. Things like sleep, things like my energy, my mood, my thoughts and feelings, and my motivation for not only training but life. And if any of these things are slowly going downhill, then I need to address them. And I can use the example. So the last week I've been getting very, very little sleep, and my sleep quality has been extremely poor. By assessing this, I knew that I had to change something, because otherwise it will affect my performance in the gym and my results. So what I've done over the past week is I've reduced my caffeine intake significantly. So from 6 coffees a day down to 2 before 12 p.m. So I'm making sure that I'm not drinking as much caffeine. Decaf just doesn't taste the same. Been getting bad sleep for the last probably 2 weeks, and it's affecting training. Got to assess and address. So I'm on the decafs down to 2 coffees a day. So life's pretty shit, but I'm getting some better sleep, which is nice. I'm getting to bed earlier. No electronics for within 60 to 90 minutes before I go to bed. And lo and behold, my sleep quality over the last 4 days has improved significantly, and I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. Again, if I wasn't collecting data on myself and I didn't have the self-awareness necessary to check myself, I wouldn't know this, and I'd probably burn myself out and grind myself into a really bad place in the gym. And to be the best, you need to always be looking to improve. It's not a matter of being perfect, like I said, but you need to be always trying to improve. And an example of this is I haven't been feeling my lats a hell of a lot in my pull-ups. So I did some research on how to activate my lats a little bit more, and I found a really cool activation drill that I've started now incorporating before my pull-ups, and I've started to feel my lats a hell of a lot more. And again, this is not magic, but it's just me being self-aware, looking and assessing my response to training, and then trying to improve every facet of my training, my diet, my lifestyle, to become the best version of myself. So guys, I really hope that video was informative. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like the damn video, subscribe to our channel, and I'll speak to you all next time.